Ladies and gentlemen, today we're looking at the 12 best pack-a-punched weapons in Black Ops 7 Zombies. Now, this list is going to include some of the wonder weapons in the game as of right now, because I wanted to make this video to explain how a lot of them work and how they're best used, but I also wanted to highlight some of the best weapons that we have in the game at the moment before anything else gets added throughout these seasons. I mean, DLC 1, the map is already coming out in just a couple of weeks, even though the game literally just dropped. So if you're looking for good weapons to take into the new Zombies map, but also play what we have currently on disc and play Survival or Ashes of the Damned, then this video is going to be for you. But real quick, guys, there's a very special message from Dr. Edward Richthofen for you.
Guten Tag, it is I, Dr. Edward Richthofen. And I'm here to encourage all of you to help my dear friend Chopper reach 1 million subscribers on the YouTubes. Yeah, you see, because he has 600,000 followers now, but with 400,000 more people, fans of the Doctor, of course, we can reach this million milestone. Yeah? So, go, subscribe, and don't be a dummkopf like Dempsey. Yeah? Nobody likes Dempsey.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Edward Richthofen. Listen, lads, I just think you should listen to the doctor, right? I think he gives pretty good advice. But anyways, let's get into this. Coming in today at the number 12 spot is the X9 Maverick. Now, this is an assault rifle that you do unlock fairly late in the progression path, but I will say that because it's technically a 3-round burst assault rifle, this puts it in a really unique position where you would expect its damage to be a little bit higher than average, and luckily that is exactly the case with this weapon. Pairing this with both double tap and dead shot gets you a lot of mileage out of this weapon, because burst weapons in particular seem to really benefit off of double tap, and that's why they shine in Black Ops 7 specifically. But I was very impressed by this assault rifle, and it's by no means my favorite gun on this list, but it does amazing at just general crowd control. I wouldn't say it's the most specialized gun at all on this list, but the ammo capacity is pretty solid, the DPS is great as well, the accuracy and handling is awesome too, and as of this moment, I haven't settled on a specific set of attachments yet for a loadout, so in future videos, we will be going over more particular loadouts and some more advanced builds once I work my way through all of the attachments and get everything tested. But if you're just looking for a quick and easy gun to play with, the Maverick is not a bad option. Coming in at number 11 is the XM325 LMG. Now, I'm not usually a big LMG guy. In fact, there was only a handful of them in Black Ops 6 Zombies that I really ever gravitated towards or spent any significant time with, but I was actually kind of amazed just how well this weapon was performing even without any attachments. Like, the first time I picked it up, I was like, wow, this actually feels good. The fire rate is insane just with its base vanilla version with no attachments already, and you can actually use some specific perks and augments to really make this weapon feel like an SMG, but with the firepower and magazine of an LMG. It absolutely dumpsters zombies. It is a bullet hose, and the DPS is incredibly respectable. I've decided this year that I'm going to try to give LMGs more of a shot, and I'm going to spend some more time really going into a specific build for this one and seeing if I can find something that really works for this. But just in case you want a good LMG recommendation, I strongly advise the XM325, and you really don't need to do a whole lot of work to it to get it, performing well. Coming up at number 10 is the AK-27. Now, apart from the very cheeky Pack-a-Punch name being the Impossible Easter egg, which I'm sure many of you who have watched my channel or Skyte's videos, I'm sure you're very familiar with, but besides that, it's still a very great weapon, just pure objective performance-wise. One of the better DPSs in the assault rifle class as of right now, and very customizable, but I will say without any attachments, it can be really rough on the recoil, despite the damage per bullet or damage per second being pretty high. It's okay for the most part until you get double tap, and also there is a prestige attachment that increases your fire rate, which may just take it a little bit too over the edge, but it's still, you basically want to trade off power for accuracy, and that's kind of always the conundrum all the weapons in this game find themselves in. But the AK definitely leans more towards the power side, so I think if you're looking for an assault rifle that's easy to use and super strong, the AK is one of the best options, and you do unlock it pretty early, so it's a decent beginner weapon as well. Moving on to number 9 is one of my personal favorite weapons in Black Ops 7 Zombies already. I love the look, I love the feel. This is the M15 Mod Zero, and it's kind of the inverse of the AK, where it doesn't have as much just raw power up front, but what it does have is incredible pinpoint accuracy. And you might not think that in a game like Zombies that it's worth trading off that damage output for more accuracy, but in this context, I completely disagree, as it's very situational. I think the M15 is a lot better at dealing with like elite enemies and even specials, because the ability to pinpoint a specific amount of damage at a really small spot can honestly be what's important at the end of the day, because it's kind of harder to get close to stuff like Doppelgasts or Xursas without taking, or risking extreme damage, and sometimes you really just want that pinpoint precision accuracy. And I'm still working on the build for this one. I haven't quite got it right yet, so again, in a future video, we'll go over loadouts, but the M15 Mod Zero has an unbelievable DPS, but really great accuracy too. Coming up at number 8 is the M8A1, an absolute classic from Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 kind of, but really this gun I do believe has the potential to be one of the best guns in the game. I know it's coming in at number 8 right now, and that's because I still need to experiment more with it, but I do think that this could be a top 3 weapon of all time if built into properly. There's a few augments that I really want to try out. There's specifically one for double tap that makes every 4th bullet in your magazine deal more damage, and because this fires in automatic 4-round burst, I really think you could do some serious damage with this if you're absolutely like putting all of your resources into this weapon. Regardless though, I would describe this basically as having the power of the AK, but the accuracy of the M15. I mean, it really is the best of both, and I've gotten, so much mileage out of this weapon. It absolutely carries in these really difficult cursed relic trials. If any of you have tried these, then you know how tanky some of these enemies are, and the M8 does just fine in there. I think that just goes to show how good this weapon is though, because I haven't even optimized it yet, and I'm just sitting here like, wow, this is actually incredible, and it's pretty much my go-to weapon right now when I'm playing BO7. Moving on to number 7 is the MPC SMG. This is basically the equivalent of the MSMC from Black Ops 2. This is BO7's version of that, and does it behave quite the same way? Well, honestly, it definitely feels different than the MSMC. I don't know if it's the best comparison, but it is a stellar weapon on its own and is easily the best SMG right now in terms of zombies and what you really want out of a weapon. It's got unbelievable damage for a weapon of this class, and the mobility, given that it's an SMG, is really great when you want to be on the move more. This is great in stuff like the boss fight of Ashes of the Damned. If you happen to get knocked out of the car, this is a good weapon to be able to move around with, but it's also just good for hoarding and training and, all that good stuff. But still, despite its mobility and its lightweightness, it absolutely annihilates Xursas and Doppelgast. You do need to be hitting critical spots though, because the non-crit damage honestly isn't awesome. And the other downsides is that it has a pretty high amount of horizontal recoil, which can be annoying to deal with, and it definitely needs an extended magazine because the standard mag capacity is just not it. So it definitely needs attachments to make it work and to reach its full potential, but the fact that it has potential is worth noting. Moving on to our number 6 spot is the Jagger 45 starting pistol. Now, obviously, some of us were expecting Mustang and Sally to come back. We had that in Black Ops 6, but upgrading the pistol in BO7 is really weird because putting the Prestige attachment on plus pack-a-punching it makes it like a slug shotgun pistol, and it's very awkward. Now, the thing is, though, it has one extreme upside and the entire reason you run it. Now, you can also run akimbo, so you can have, 2 guns, or you can just swap to a single one to be a little bit more accurate, which is a really nice touch for the gameplay of Black Ops 7. But the real reason anybody runs this gun is because it absolutely nukes Xursas, and I'm not kidding about that. And that's really the only practical reason to bring this in, because otherwise it can be a very awkward feeling gun for crowd control, and I don't know if it's really the best for that. Also, the magazine capacity is not great even when running akimbo. I will say I feel these weapons are less important now solo, given that they just recently nerfed the Ashes of the Damned boss fight to not spawn Xursas in when you're playing solo anymore, so, your ability to nuke Xursas is not really needed as much. But if that's really what you're going for, then the Jagger might be the best gun in the game for that. But for just killing regular zombies and crowd control, it's honestly not the best. Coming in at number 5 is the Ray Gun Mark II, a weapon that I feel really doesn't need any introduction at least, but I would say that its strength strengths are similar to even what the Jagger pistols are in the fact that it annihilates Xursas. This became really useful for the Ashes of the Damned boss fight and still will be useful, but I think more so in co-op games. If you're a solo player, I'm actually not going to recommend the Mark II over other wonder weapons if you can afford it, but if you're playing co-op, and especially if you're struggling in the Ashes of the Damned boss fight and you need to be clearing out special and elite enemies more efficiently, I do think the Mark II is one of the best guns for that because it is obviously able, it's got better range, it's more accurate, but it doesn't have quite the normal crowd control that the OG ray gun does. But it's still a phenomenal weapon that completely deserves to be on this list. Coming in at number 4 is the Akita shotgun, and all of the weapons that I've used so far, I feel like this is the one that I have my build nailed down the most because there is a crazy deadshot augment that allows you to deal extra damage at point blank range, and that is the only thing you can really use this gun for because the range in general is absolutely awful, and this means that the only thing it's actually going to be good for is shredding elites and zombies at up close range. It is not at all to be used for the boss inside Ashes of the Damned, not at all. You probably won't even be able to reach it with this weapon. It's for crowd control and killing elites only. You can think of this weapon as the second coming of the Maelstrom from Black Ops 6 that, was a really bad shotgun for a couple of seasons, and then all of a sudden they dropped a patch that made it the best gun in the game by a mile out of nowhere. So, we didn't get carry forward for BO7, which is honestly probably a good thing, but this is essentially the spiritual successor of the Maelstrom. It's a little bit different, but I would say that's your closest replacement here. It's also stupidly easy to use. Like, there's really no skill gap with this weapon outside of you just need to be close to the enemy. Moving on to number 3 is the OG ray gun, which is a weapon that I'm positive needs no introduction, but I'm very happy to report that it is absolutely a monster in BO7. We've gone through a couple of iterations of COD Zombies where the ray gun hasn't honestly been the best weapon. I'm thinking more stuff like BO3 and honestly a little bit of BO4, but lately with Black Ops 6 and 7, the ray gun absolutely claims the top spot on the list, and even though the Mark II might be a little bit better for certain situations, when you're talking about like really high rounds and getting up there, past the health cap and all that stuff, really the ray gun is going to outperform the Mark II by quite a bit. It's not going to pierce through regular zombies hitting elites behind it quite as well as the Mark II does, but it's also going to control regular zombies much more, especially at higher rounds, and is fantastic in the Ashes of the Damned boss fight. It's the ray gun, it's the homie, we all know and love it, it's not going anywhere, and it's amazing in this game. Coming in at number 2 is a gun that shocked me. This is the M10 Breacher, which, once again, I feel might have the potential to be the best weapon in the game, if not one of the best, because I'm definitely not settled on the attachment build just yet, so don't take what I have on the gun right now as gospel, because I'm definitely still working on it, but this shotgun has a very unique capability to where it can be charged, so you can either just tap your trigger right away to fire off like a normal buckshot, or you can hold down the trigger to charge it a little bit, focus the damage, and focus it in a more specific pinpoint direction. This makes it very interesting for taking out elite enemies, which it can nuke just like the Jagger pistols can, but it has even better range and potentially better damage output as well. Now, honestly, it's kind of weird that Ashes of the Damned has such a vehicle-centric boss fight because you don't really get the gradient of testing different builds to, see what weapons are good on the boss or not, because for the most part, it really doesn't matter. It's all about the truck, but a lot of weapons I think are going to shine throughout the year as we go for more of the maps. So in a future video, when I talk about loadouts and builds, we're going to revisit this weapon and see if I've settled on an attachment setup that I really like and that's super effective. Coming in at number 1 is the Necroluid Gauntlet, which my initial impression of this weapon was that, yeah, it's good and it's cool, but it wasn't until recently that I really started to just uncover how good it was. I felt like this wonder weapon was trash for the boss fight of this map, but I was very wrong about that, as one of the biggest mechanics that it allows you to do is recall the needles that it fires back to you, not only coming back through zombies and damaging them on the way in, but also giving you an overheal as well and adding additional HP to your bar that you cannot otherwise have. This is really important for the boss as it allows you to sustain and survive attacks that would otherwise just outright kill you. It's also amazing for hitting critical points on the boss specifically, which I didn't realize until a little bit of experimenting. If you have a bunch of relics unlocked and you can play with a bunch of the things in curse mode, you can actually pack-a-punch this weapon to tier 4 and it becomes an absolute machine. Like, it's just on another level, but this weapon, regardless, might be one of the best weapons in COD Zombies at this point. Keep an eye out for on my channel when I make another video going over specifically more builds and loadouts once I settle on attachment setups, and also once we get this new zombies map that's coming out, I'll have a better idea of what to build around your guns and sort of what perks and augments to use, so we'll go for a video going through all of that. But if you just wanted some good pack-a-punched weapons that you can use generally right now, anything on this list is going to do well. So anyways, make sure y'all leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.